everyone, welcome to Golden Epaulettes podcast. And guess what? Today I have with me Captain Awdhesh Tomar. How are you, sir? Hi, welcome.
Hi, Srishti. I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so today I have just come up with some of the questions that students ask me very frequently, right? So on the pilot training, of course. So I would like you to give some of the answers to those questions in quite a detail.
Definitely, Srishti. Please go ahead. I will be more than happy to answer most of them.
Okay. So my first question is, which is one of the most frequent question and a confusion in a student mind also, that I am an average student, I am not an intelligent student. But I have heard somewhere that only intelligent people can become pilots. Is it true?
Okay. If this is true, then I would not have been here. So
Okay.
probably, I think, individual makes different assessment every time. But if you see DGCA requirement, what DGCA says, if you want to become a pilot, you just need to be 33% in with maths and physics.
Yes.
So obviously, when they frame a guideline, they have thought through about it. What is the requirement? So if you are average person, they generally, if you see, they tends to do good as a pilot. Because let's say if you are engineer and you are too much into it, and when something happens in air, you probably go and start rectifying this. If it is an average person, okay, if something happened, try to find a field where we can just go down and save life. So obviously intelligence people do good. Similarly, I can tell you many people who themselves say they are an average individual, but they perform really well as an aviator. So I don't agree with this perspective, but everybody can have their own opinion.
That's great. I think that's really great that you are not binding some percentage requirement in
it
that.
is a skill-based job where
skill-based
skills are required.
True.
So, and the correct attitude. So, skills can be imparted. Obviously, some of them people are always they are always there in individuals. But obviously, in aviation, there is a lot of training. Every 3 months, 6 months, you are being trained. So, with that kind of training, you will be trained to the par with anybody else.
Okay.
So, I don't think there is this thing of being.
That's only
too
a
much.
misconception, and I think that's something which students do not have a clarity about.
Obviously, see, if you are starting as just 10th plus 2, if I am coming out from a remote place in India, I may have that kind of perception. So that's not something which is wrong. It's correct. If you have those kind of queries, you must inform them that these are the people who are working. They were also. So you go on YouTube, you will find hundreds of story of many pilots. They themselves say we were average people and we are now doing
Even
so well.
personally also I've heard many stories that some student did not had their physics maths as their subjects and they become good pilots.
Yeah, because it's more of a skills rather than books.
Okay, that's nice. So sir, my next question would be based on similar lines that I'm not fluent in English. So can it become a hurdle in my pilot interviews in later stages? If yes, then what should I do to improve my English?
Okay, so basically what is the requirement? As per Indian DGCA, there are some levels for English proficiency.
Okay.
You have to be minimum level 4 for operational requirement. Now let's say you are not fluent. You don't need to, for being a pilot, you need a working knowledge of English because it's a language which is used in aviation all over. But it doesn't mean you have to be an expert in English. If you are good enough in a working language, that's fair enough. Even if you have a problem in a communication, let's say your communication is like me, not that exceptionally great. So what you can do is during your training period, you can work upon it. It's not something which cannot be worked upon. It can be worked upon it. So, and even if somebody says you need to be exceptionally good in English, that's incorrect. Okay. You should have a working knowledge of English. You should effectively communicate. with ATC, with your partner, your FO or captain, whoever, it would be good enough for
So
aviation.
it's kind of a basic English that someone is able to read, communicate basic in English. That's
Exactly. Now, if you
Okay.
see in India or other countries, obviously in Europe they have this aviation English standard, or some other country, they sometimes struggle with English. So there is. It's not that if you don't, if you are not that that fluent in English, it will not work. It will be completely fine.
So my next question would be that as you know that there are two ways of becoming a pilot, right? One is cadet route and one is conventional route. I think in previous times there was not an option of going through a cadet route. Now it has came up recently, and I think it is helping a lot of students. So which way is better according to you?
Okay, so actually, cadet definition has been redefined. What was cadet used to be, if you are cadet, so training used to be sponsored by the airline. So the
Okay.
cost of training used to be borne by the airline, and you had that bond for some certain years. But now in India, everything has changed. So now it is still set cadet, but training cost is to be funded by the
person.
candidate.
Yes.
Now, it is very subjective and very difficult to answer in either you do this or that. Many circumstances can be at play to decide whether you want to do a cadet or a conventional seeker. Advantage of cadet करना चाहते हो, the advantage ये है कि 10+2 you just pass 10+2, you enroll yourself in cadet, and once you get through, you just have to pay around roughly 1.2 CR or 1.
Yeah, in India,
between
it's, I think
1.4
it's-
CR.
Yes.
Once you are ready with that kind of fund, you can go ahead with the training. Your job is secure. Airline is giving you letter of intent stating that we intend to hire you after successful completion of your training.
So is it really a job guarantee? Just we have funded 1 CR, say for example, and we are getting a job in our hand. Is it that much guaranteed?
Okay, so technically airline can never give you a job guarantee.
Okay.
They can only give you a confirmation that we intend to hire you. Reason being, let's say today after you're ready for fund, you cleared your cadet program stages and all that, then you are not performing during your training, or there is some other issue, your fund is not being released at a time on time, or there are any other issues in between. Now, at that stage, what the airline will do if they
Right.
give you guarantee? So they give you a letter of intent, which is
Yes.
basically good to go. If everything goes well, you get a job in that. But think about it. You're paying 1.3 to 1.2 CR. And these days, pays, what is the pay scale for, you will be hired as a trainee first officer or junior first officer. Pay scale is not that great.
Yes, I think 1,25,000 approx.
Somewhere close to initially 1.25 you get in
Okay.
hand or something. So if you are investing that kind of amount, then you have to clearly understand you will be paid this much. What is the return on the investment? If you and you are going for cadet, you are not asking for too much loan. In case if you take entire loan or even 80% of loan, by the time you will end up paying to the bank, it will be more than double. So for 1 CR, you will be paying to the bank 2 CR.
2 CR.
So that choice has to be exercised with caution. If you have a surplus money, you are not very much relying on the banks, then you must go ahead with it. But whenever you are doing commercial, conventional CPL, the kind of Indian Indian growth of Indian economy is roughly 8%, 7%. Aviation always grows at the double rate of the Indian economy. So even if India grows at 8%, you can minimum assume aviation will grow at 16%. So with that kind of market, and multiple airports and facilities is coming up these
I
days.
think there are shortages of
So
pilots. is
you
also
can
going on.
also think of conventional doing conventional CPL. I find some of the people who say they are like, I don't have money to do cadet,
Cadet.
but I don't know if I get job. I'm doing a conventional CPL. I tell them you will get it, but you plan it clearly. You plan your training in a way that you end up doing in 1 year, because after 1 year there will be a sufficient job in the market for CPL holder along with the type rating. You will get the job, but your planning should be correct. What happens today? Student goes to, let's say, I am a owner of a flying school. You approached me and you asking me how many months your training will take. I'll say 12 months. Now what happened in your mind? It's this 12 months, and my school is in US.
Yeah,
Okay?
right.
So I said 12 months. In your head, it's 12 months. But think about from this perspective. Today you inquired. You will take another month to decide. Then it will take another month to get visa.
Right.
Then when the batch commences in US or wherever the flying school, so your 4 months is added in that 12 months.
Definitely right.
So you add these timeline and then think how much time you are taking to complete your training. So this is the way you decide कि how long will you gonna take for the flying. बच्चे जाते हैं, जाके बोलते हैं कि 12 महीने में करके आ गया. और मैंने पूछा अच्छा फ्लाइंग 12 महीने में हो गई? हाँ 12 महीने में कंप्लीट करा दी. तो मैं कहा फिर 3 साल से कहाँ था? बिकॉज बाकी टाइम क्या कर रहे थे? वीज़ा लगवा रहे थे या फिर फ्लाइंग स्कूल सेलेक्ट कर रहे थे. आके उन्होंने क्या किया? उन्होंने कन्वर्जन का फ्लाइंग का प्लान नहीं किया. इंडियन स्कूल आर ऑलरेडी filled with the student, so they are not taking students for conversion. Now he is waiting another for 4 months to get slot for conversion flying.
तो वो टाइम भी ऐड ही हो गया उसमें.
Obviously. So if you don't plan clearly, you may end up struggling. If you plan it correctly, you will get a job.
Okay.
Another thing is, when you are doing conventional CPL, no, nothing is given to you on a platter.
You have to do everything
You will have
on
to
your own.
work
You have to
hard.
search and
Everything. It will be you who will be doing it. After 10 plus 2, you have been thrown into this. Now you learn over the period of time. You will struggle. You learn everything by your own. You will become a better person for sure. In Cadet, what happens? It's good. You have a decent job. You have decent pay. But then time of learning is very little. You don't learn that much in between, because here airline is doing everything for you. FTA,
They're serving
wherever
you on a
FTO,
platter.
wherever FTO you are going, they are managing everything for you. Once you come back, airline manages everything. So you don't have to go through any
hurdles or struggles.
So that is also so. My point is, anybody who has less fund must not be discouraged, because there are multiple opportunities. Over the period of time, if you plan it better, you will get a job.
That's really nice. I think that's the honest review that we can expect from a captain. So based on one statement that you made, that you know the person who is going through a conventional method may not be discouraged, right? So I have a question based on that only. That I do not have much funds, but my childhood dream is to become a pilot. So what would you say on this thing?
Now depends how much fund you have. Can you afford conventional training? If you can, then that is the option. But let's say if you cannot even afford that, and in that case, I would suggest you should start working somewhere. If it is a childhood dream, you want to fulfill over the period of time. So you should not hesitate to work at any place. Start earning, work for couple of years. If age is along with you, work for few years. Arrange some fund, take some help from bank, some if your parents' family can put in. That can be exercise. But if you think you don't have money fund at all, and you and you don't even have the financial backing at home is almost zero. They cannot afford you unemployed for even 6 months. In that case, you should delay your training. You should not go for it, because what happens, I know I have gone through this stage. When you take everything out of your home and to put into this field, obviously you will go, you'll get the training done. When you come back, you may not get job for 6 months or 8 months. Somebody has to pay those EMI.
Yes.
If parents are unable to repay that EMI, it is a lot of mental stress. It is a lot of trauma. So you should not get into that situation. So you wait for a while, try arranging firm. If need be, work somewhere for few years, couple of years, and then try it. Because if it is a childhood dream,
yes,
it's not some year is written on this.
Yes.
You have to complete by this year. It's your dream. People takes lifelong to complete their dream. So there's nothing wrong in waiting.